Today we are going to start writing JavaScript. Oh, it's very exciting. So this is your normal HTML document, very simple. I have my beginning of HTML and the end, and then I have my head section with a title, my body, and so forth. Now this is a tag that you have not seen before. This is a script tag, the beginning of my script, and this is the end of my script. In between here is where I'm going to start writing JavaScript. Now if I run this thing right now, nothing happens. Not too exciting, is it? Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about is how I can get the user to enter information into the program. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a variable. My variable is called name. Now, I know, in Snap you made variables differently, but this is the same thing. I'm just making a variable, and the name of my variable is name. I could call it anything I wanted to. I could call it peanut butter and jelly or pizza or whatever. It's just a variable. How do I get information into that variable? There's more than one way to do it, but I'm going to start out, and we're going to start out in this class using a prompt statement. Now, a prompt gives you a little pop-up window, and you'll see how it works, and I'm going to ask the user to enter their name. Enter your name. The syntax is very specific here. Notice a prompt has a set of quotes with some writing in it, and then a comma, and then a second set of quotes, and a semicolon. Lines of code in JavaScript are supposed to end with semicolons. I'm going to run this right now just so you can see what happens. If I run it, it says, enter your name. Hey, how do you like that? Get a little pop-up window. My name is Haas. Nothing else happens. No worries, that's fine. Now, if I had put something in here, like Bob, for example, let me rerun it. Now you can see what happened. Enter your name, and Bob shows up as a default. Now, of course, I could type over it. My name is Haas. That's great. So that is one way of getting the user to enter input. In Snap, that was an ask statement. In JavaScript, it's a prompt. Now, there are other ways of getting input in, but we're going to start by just using prompt. It's a nice, simple way to have input into your program. Now, how do I get this program to output the user's name? Well, there's more than one way to do output, and I'm going to start with the easiest way of doing output, which is just an alert statement. Alert, and I'm going to say, in quotes, nice to meet you. Now, this is going to seem a little bit funny. Name, semicolon. So, nice to meet you in quotes, and that's joined together, right? In Snap, we used a join statement. Well, in JavaScript, and actually in a lot of languages, they use a plus to join things together. The official name for that is concatenation. I'm joining together, nice to meet you, in quotes, with name. Now, notice name is not in quotes. It's a variable. You ready for this? Oh, it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to run it. Enter your name, and my name is Haas. I hit OK. And I get an alert. Nice to meet you, Haas. Now notice there was no space here. Nice to meet you, no space, Haas. Now sometimes students are tempted to put a space. Oh, I'll put another space here. That's not going to do it. The space has got to go inside quotes. So let me just run this again. Enter your name, Haas. Nice to meet you, Haas. All right, that's one way of outputting is an alert statement. We're going to talk about a couple other ways. Oh, before I move on to another way of getting output, I just want to give you a second example of using a prompt here. So here I've done this a little bit differently than I did up top, but they're both totally acceptable. Here I declare it another variable called age this time, and on a second line I said age equals prompt, enter your age, and this is my default 15. Right here I did it on one line, but hey, you can do it on 2 lines. That's totally legitimate. Notice I have a semicolon after each line, and my alert is a little bit different too. I have a bunch of things in quotes, right? I have that's great, plus, right? Plus is like a join. I'm joining that together with their name. Now variables, again, this is a variable, are not in quotes. So I have that's great, their variable, plus a comma with a space, plus whatever their age is a perfect age to be. Isn't that great? All right, so let me run this and you can just see what happens. So enter your name, Bob. That's the default, of course. Nice to meet you, Bob. Okay. Now it's asking the second prompt, right? The program runs from the top down, right? Now I'm up to the second prompt. Enter your age. That's great, Bob. 15 is a perfect age to be. Yeah, I think it probably would have said that if they entered any age. But all right, now we're going to move on to another way of doing output. So a second way of getting output is by using a statement called a document.write. So I'm just going to change this. I'm a very bad typer. All right. So I changed my alert to a document.write. I could do it for both alerts, but I'm just going to do it for the second one. Document.write. Everything else is the same on the inside, and let's just see what that does. So I'm going to run this thing. Enter your name. The default is Bob. Nice to meet you, Bob. Age is 15. That's fabulous. You see what happened? It wrote it on the side. That's great, Bob. 15 is a perfect age. So it writes it out on the page instead of having a pop-up. All right, now we're going to look at a third way of getting output. So here's a third way, and perhaps this is the preferred way of actually getting output from your JavaScript program. I know it looks a little confusing, so I'm going to go over what's happening here. So notice I don't have an alert, I don't have a document.write, I have this huge, big, long statement right here. Well, all this does, I know it looks confusing, but all it does is it says, look in the document, which I'm in right now, get the element by ID named out. In other words, look for something that has an ID named out. So up here, right here, I made myself a paragraph and I put ID equals out. Now, this is just a variable. I could have called this peanut butter or soup and crackers or anything, as long as this variable name matches this variable name. So in other words, this is going to look for something that has an ID named out. This guy has an ID named out. And then it says inner.html. What that means is stick this output in between the beginning and ending tag. So it's going to stick my output in between these paragraph tags right there. Interesting. It's going to stick this whole big statement. Now, I know it looks complicated, but yet this is the preferred way. This is considered much nicer than a document.write. A document.write is funny for some reasons. It overwrites things on your page. So this is really a nice way of getting output, and I can just run it so you can see that it works. Actually, I have some output still on the side, so I'll change this. My name is Haas, and I'm going to put my actual age. Good God, nice to meet you, Haas. I am 56, and that's great, Haas. 56 is a perfect age to be. Cool. So for right now, we're going to use as our outputs either alert statements, that gives you a little pop-up, or this big long document.getElement by ID, and then you put some variable name here, .inner.html, and then some stuff with quotes. I actually don't even need these parentheses here. I can just get rid of those parentheses and it runs just fine. Bob is an age of 10. Yeah, you can see it still works just fine. All right, so hopefully that's enough information to get started on your Mad Lib project. Good luck.